Hey guys, so do you hate those little tiny round toilets they still for some reason put into houses and mobile homes and even like apartments? You can't do anything about it, but in your house or your mobile home you can do something about it. And I'm going to show you how to replace that toilet. Hey guys, welcome to the channel Before You Call a Contractor. I'm Andy. Today we are going to be replacing a toilet. This toilet to be exact. Toilets are not that hard to replace once you figure out how to do it. And once you've done the first one, you realize it's not that difficult to do. You don't need a lot of tools. Adjustable wrench, scraper, rags and towels, and a few other items. But anyway, let's get started. First thing we gotta do is turn off the water. Okay, now we're gonna flush the toilet. When you flush it, you wanna hold the handle down till all the water drains out. All right, once you hear the water stop running, then you're ready. So I lost the section where I removed the toilet, but I'm gonna go over that and show you what you gotta do to do it. So when you flush the toilet to get all the water out, you're still gonna have some water left in the tank and some water in the bowl. Years ago when I was doing this, I would bring a shop vac and vacuum that water out so it wouldn't get everywhere. But I discovered this liquid lock stuff. And I buy two of them when I'm gonna replace the toilet, one for the tank and one for the bowl. All you do is sprinkle it on the water and it solidifies the water. That way when you're moving around, it doesn't slosh around. So I'm gonna sprinkle this in the tank and I'll show you what it does. All right, so it's been about 4 minutes since I sprinkled it in there. Let me show you what it does. It basically turns it into mush like this. It makes it so you can disconnect everything and it doesn't slosh around. So once you've done that, we need to disconnect our water supply to right here. It should be just hand tight. And then we need to remove the toilet bolts that hold it to the floor. That's gonna be these right here. Most of the time these caps just pop off. Mine here actually happen to unscrew. This is gonna be probably a 1/2-inch adjustable wrench or a 1/2-inch socket. There's gonna be one on each side. You need to take those off. The other thing is, a lot of times around the bottom of the toilet, you'll have caulk right here. I just use the corner of a scraper. Scrape it free. It just makes it easier for getting the toilet off the floor. And then I usually just rock the toilet from side to side to get it to loosen up. Now, once you pull the toilet off, you gotta prepare it for the new one. Biggest thing you gotta do is, and the new one will probably come with tank bolts, but the wax ring that's gonna be on the toilet. And by the way, when you pull it off, it kind of looks nasty, but it's just wax. And this rubber part is actually inside the pipe. But that's what I use the scraper for. I also usually put on gloves. You need maybe a grocery bag, and you need to scrape all that wax off as much as you possibly can. And do your best not to let that wax go down the drain because it doesn't solidify. And like if something goes down the drain, toilet paper and everything else will get hung up onto it and you'll have a different kind of problems. If something does get down there, and if you can see it, maybe get a long stick and try to poke it and get it back out. But that's it. That's how easy it is to take the toilet off. Now we'll go over how to install one. All right, guys, as you can see, I've got this all cleaned up, getting ready to put in the new toilet. So let's do it. All right, guys, so we're ready to install a toilet now. This particular toilet did not come assembled. Negatives to that is that you've got to assemble it. The positive of that is it's not as heavy to move around. So the first thing we got to do is we got to install our bolts on the floor, and we got to put on our wax ring. So to put our bolts on the floor, you'll see that the flange has an opening spot. So you want to slide them in here. You want to get them to the middle. Now these bolts came with nuts to screw them down. A lot of times they come with just a plastic washer that you slide on here. You want to get them down snug. That way the bolts stay in place when you go to try to set the toilet on top of it. And you want to make sure that they're even across from each other. Again, these don't have to be super tight. They're literally just there to hold the bolt in place while you're setting the toilet down on top of it. Now, to install the wax ring, you literally put it on here and just push it against the toilet Just like that. And you want this plastic part, you want that sticking out because that's going to go inside your drain pipe. Now what we need to do is just set the toilet down on top of those toilet bolts. Okay. Got it lined up. Now just slowly rock the toilet down into place. Nice and easy. All right. Straight. It's flush on the floor. Now this particular toilet came with wing nuts to hold it down. You also have a washer. And they come with these plastic caps too. Now, the plastic cap goes on first because this is what's going to hold your thing on. And you'll see that like part of it's raised. You want this to go to the bottom. Then you put your metal washer on top of it. Then you put your wing nut on. And these don't have to be crazy tight. You want to get them tight enough so that the toilet doesn't rock. But they don't have to be crazy tight. And then this literally just snaps on top of it. And do the same thing on the other side. Now you want to make sure your toilet doesn't move, doesn't wobble. Now as you can see, this one doesn't. Now, if your floor is not even, you might need to get some of these toilet shims. And you can just slide a shim under where it needs to go to keep it from moving. But this one is good. All right, now we're gonna put our tank on. This one came mostly assembled. Double check everything, make sure it's tight. Again, doesn't have to be crazy tight. This one came with washers and wing nuts. And we're just going to set the tank. Oh, hang on. Don't forget the washer. Most important part. Right here. Goes over this nut on there. Then we're gonna go ahead and set it on top of where it goes in the back of the toilet. Okay, then we'll put a washer and a wing nut on each side. Just tighten them down. They don't have to be crazy tight, but you want them good and snug. You want to go back and forth from each side to make sure you get them even. Now this tank should not move. So you'll know when it's tight enough when it's not moving at all. All right, that's that. Now, let's reconnect our water supply. Before we do this, double check and make sure the washer is still in there. Occasionally, this washer can get stuck inside the old flush valve. Put this on here, get it straight. And this does not have to be, you do not need to tighten this down with a wrench. Hand tight is all you need to do. All right, so mostly assembled, and we still got to put our toilet seat on. But let's go ahead and turn our valve back on. And we'll see, it'll start to fill up. And we're going to double check if the leaks. All right, guys, let's install a toilet seat. It came with a little rubber thing that sits here. Put one on each side. These caps open up. And the bolt just slides through. You can close that if you want. And take and set your toilet seat in here, right where your hole's lined up. And you just bolt through here. They fell out on me, so. So, here's what we gotta do. We have a flat washer. We have this nut here. We put the flat washer on. And we put this nut on and we screw it on. Make sure you got your toilet seat in exactly where you want it before you tighten it down all the way. Now, you can tighten this under here, or you can just take a screwdriver and tighten it up right here. This one works better if you do it from underneath. Then there's another nut that goes over the top of that locks it in place. All right, then you close this cap right here. And that side's done. Just gotta do the other side. All right, guys, so seat's installed. Next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna check for leaks. What we're gonna how to do that? We're gonna flush it multiple times. Now the places I'm looking for leaks is around here, specifically around the bottom of the toilet. But I'm also going to be looking for leaks since we installed this tank up here. And some of the best ways to do that is really just by feeling it by hand. It should be dry. You also want to check around the drain pipe. Make sure you, I mean not the drain pipe, the fill tube hose. Make sure you don't feel any water running from there. I'll probably flush this 4 or 5 times. And then I'm going to caulk around the bottom. Now, caulking around the bottom, it's optional. You don't have to do it, but I am going to do it on this one. So I've flushed this toilet 4 or 5 times, and I'm going to keep feeling around the tank. I don't feel any water. I don't feel any water around the fill hose. So now what we got to do is put our lid on. And I'm going to caulk around the bottom, and we're done. No, I say caulk. Technically, this is silicone. Anytime you're working in, you want to use kitchen and bath silicone whenever you're working in bathrooms. I found the best tool for spreading caulk is one of your fingers. Just nice and smooth around it. Just make sure you got paper towels to wipe your hands off with. All right, guys, as you can see, our toilet's installed. It wasn't that complicated. And it came with instructions. You can always read the instructions too. But I wanted to make this video just make it a little bit more helpful. Okay? Anyway, guys, have a great day. And I appreciate you watching. Thanks. Bye.